Hello everyone, we are reading Law of Torts and this is the first chapter, the introduction. We are starting with Law of Torts is a system of laws which enables a person who has suffered harm or injury by the acts of another to claim damages in a civil suit. Once again, we are reading the definition. Law of torts is a system of laws which enables a person who has suffered or injury harm or injury by the acts of another to claim damages in a civil suit. Next, the first topic of this chapter is evolution of law of torts in England and India. The essential nature of law of torts is that it is not codified like statute laws. The law of torts in India is based on English common law, which is the product of judicial decisions. In Rajkot Municipal Corporation versus Manju Manjulben Jayantilal Nakum 1997 9 SCC 552, the court observed in the absence of statutory law in regard to tortious liability in India, the common law principle evolved in England may be applied in India to the extent of suitability and applicability to the Indian conditions. There is very little legislation in the area of torts in India and elsewhere in the world. The reason is simple: tortious liability can arise in a number of ways, and the number is so large that it is almost impossible to specify each and every act on the part of the defendant who may be made liable for damages. In recent times, some parts of the law of torts have been codified, which is the Workmen's Compensations Act, the Employers Liability Act, etc. Also, laws relating to defamation, libel, etc. have been framed. Unlike England, there is very little tort litigation in India. The reasons being lack of consciousness about one's right and the spirit of toleration. The spirit of toleration. Problem of recognition of the action by courts and awarding of very low damages. Thus, numerous cases of injury in India, like unlawful detention, injury to or the death of people due to adulterated foodstuffs, liquor, medicine, etc. Loss due to power cut, noise, and other pollutions, etc., are put up without bringing an action in a court of law. In this part, our next topic is forms of action in English law. Forms of action in English law. Under the English law, there were three different classes of action: real, personal, and mixed. In real actions, plaintiff claimed right to recover lands, tenements, and hereditaments. In real actions, the plaintiff claimed right to recover lands, tenements, and hereditaments. In personal actions, the plaintiff claimed a debt or a sought to recover a chattel or claimed damages for injury done to his person or property. Mixed actions partook of the nature of both. Personal actions were debt, covenant, Covenant, Assumpsit, Trespass, Detenue, Repelvin, and Trover. Detenue was the form of action for the recovery of specific goods wrongfully detained or their value, and also damages occasioned by their detention. Repelvin was the action to recover specific goods which had either been wrongfully detained from the plaintiff or had been wrongfully taken out of his possession. An action of trover was originally the remedy to recover damages against the person who had found goods and refused to deliver them upon demand to the plaintiff. In course of time, it became the form of action where the plaintiff sought to recover damages from the defendant who had converted the plaintiff goods to his own use and came to be known as an action of conversion. Next topic is purpose function of the law of torts. The law of torts exists for the purpose of preventing man from hurting one another, whether in respect of their property, their person, their reputation, or anything else which is theirs. Jayalakshmi Salt Works Private Limited versus State of Gujarat 1994 for SEC 1. The fundamental principle of this branch of the law is altrum non lider. Altrum non lider. To hurt nobody by word or deed. Altrum non lider. An action of tort, therefore, is usually a for a claim for pecuniary compensation. An action of tort, therefore, is usually a claim for pecuniary compensation in respect of damages suffered as the result of invasion of a legally protected interest. However, the law of tort fails to provide adequately for injury other than physical done maliciously or carelessly. In Rajkot Municipal Corporation versus Manjuben Jayantilal Nakum 1997 9 SEC 552, the apex court observed the law of tort prevents hurting one another. All torts consist of violation of a right in the plaintiff. Tort law, therefore, is primarily evolved to compensate the injured by compelling the wrongdoer to pay for the damage done. Since distributive losses are an inevitable byproduct of modern living in allocating the risk, the law of tort makes less and less allowance to punishment, admonition, and deterrence found in criminal law. The purpose of the law of tort is to adjust these losses and offer compensation for injuries by one person as a result of another conduct. However, the law could not attempt to compensate all losses. Such an aim would not only be over ambitious but might conflict with basic notions of social policy. Society has no interest in mere shifting of loss between individuals for its own sake. The loss, by hypothesis, may have already occurred, and whatever benefit might be derived from the repairing the fortunes of one person is exactly offset by the harm caused through taking that amount away from another. The economic assets of community do not increase and expense is incurred in the process of realization. Security and stability are generally accepted as a worthwhile social objects, but there is no inherent reason for preferring the security and stability of plaintiffs to those of defendants. Hence, shifting of laws is justified only when there exists special reason for requiring the defendant to bear it rather than the plaintiff on whom it happens to have fallen. In the present case, the deceased, while walking on the footpath of a public road, struck by a roadside tree suddenly falling on him in a still weather condition. The municipal corporation was held to be not negligent and thus not liable for damages. Next topic is interests protected by the law of torts. First, personal and proprietary interest. Second, reputation, libel and slander. Third, interest in economic relations, conspiracy, passing off, deceit, etc. Fourth, interests in the family relations, for example, extent to which the parents may sue in respect of injuries to their children. Interference with judicial process, malicious prosecution, miscellaneous interest, for example, right to vote. Next topic is remedies in tort. Remedies for torts are of two kinds: judicial and extrajudicial. Judicial remedies are those which are afforded by the act of law. First, awarding of damages. Second, granting of injunctions. Third, restitution of property. Extrajudicial remedies are those which are available to a party in certain cases of torts by his own acts alone, which is expulsion of a trespasser, re-entry on land, recapture of goods, distress damage, feigned abatement of nuisance. In tort, besides damages, the court may also grant injunctions to plaintiff to prevent continuous nuisance. Thus, an injunction may be granted to prevent trespass or the continuance of a nuisance, to right of a way to market, or the infringement of copyright and trademarks, or the publication of a libel, or the uttering of a slander, or the disclosure of confidential communication, or the wrongful sale or detention of a chattel, etc. Specific restitution of property is another remedy in tort. When the plaintiff has been wrongfully possessed of his movable and immovable property, the court may order that the specific property should be restored back to the plaintiff. The next definition, next topic we will do in next video. Thank you very much.